co-founder and executive director of Residency Unlimited. Thank you so much for being here today, this afternoon. I'm speaking from Europe, so it's the night over here. So I'm going to briefly introduce Guadalupe and Guadalupe Garcia and the ANT project. Guadalupe is an art historian, a curator, and a practitioner in the spiritual tradition of Kashmir Shaivism. Currently based in Florida, Guadalupe has held prestigious positions, including assistant director at Museo del Palacio de Bellas Artes and exhibition director at Museo Nacional de Arte in Mexico City. In 2018, she founded ANT Project, motivated by the need to create a horizontal structure of interaction amongst artists, curators, writers, and performers. ANT Project facilitates interconnection between seemingly disparate individual practices, nurturing the creative process of the community as a whole. So in fact, Guadalupe likens the ant project as an ant colony where ants are interacting amongst each other and where individuals performing their own role connect with the larger whole in order to feed the colony. So the achievements realized collectively by the ants within this unit would be impossible without collective engagement between the single members and the colony, of the colony. So I'm very personally, and on behalf of RU, delighted to say that we have been collaborating with ANT Project since 2018, and it's a very meaningful collaboration for us because both organizations really, our core mission is to support artists. So Guadalupe, thank you so much, and can't wait to for the next, what's going to happen.
Thank you very much, Natalie. It's, I mean, for me, it's an honor to be part of RU's partners, and I have it, you know, very dear in my heart. It's the first place I gave a workshop, and I'm very happy to be with you all today. So, introducing the workshop, we're gonna have today 3 artists who are going to share their projects. And it was fantastic because the artists are not chosen by the topics they're gonna, you know, they're gonna present, but they are going in a certain order as they registered in the platform. But when we got together to see the projects of the 3 artists that are here today, it was incredible how the 3 of them met in the, I mean, aiming to create participatory art or to make the audience an active participant in the experience of art.
Guadalupe Garcia.
Sorry, and it was totally a coincidence. We didn't plan it. So why is this important? When I was working at the museums in Mexico, big museums, I always was focused in getting to the audience and have the audience involved in the experience of the exhibitions. And to me, the greatest joy as curator of very big exhibitions, you know, 500 or more works in the Palace of Fine Arts, my greatest joy was to hear back from the audience what the experience of the exhibition was for them. Because that's where I noticed that the change or the consciousness of what is happening, it's possible. So my goal creating the ANT project is to create a horizontal interaction between artists, audience, curators, writers, all in the same level, with no hierarchies, no one managing or controlling the interactions. And comes to me from the last workshop, there was one person, we did a kind of the same, open to the audience to participate, but I heard from some people after the workshop saying, oh, I wanted to say that, but how am I gonna say this? Because there are curators there. What are they gonna think about my comment? It might be very silly. And I was like, come on, no, this is exactly, precisely what we want to break here. Because we have been, we have this idea that our comments are not as valuable as the comments of a curator or from another artist, but our spontaneous reaction to the works of art is what really nurtures the process of giving and receiving, from putting out and taking in. So it's fundamental that we make this interconnection and this interaction in a non-biased way, in a spontaneous way, because the artist and the audience create one unity, the experience unifies the two sides of the coin. So this is why these workshops are for me fundamental, to break this idea that our experience is not valuable because we don't know. We don't need to think, we don't need to know anything. We just need to be in the experience and to share this experience to create this meeting in a oneness. So please feel free to participate in any way. The three artists will open questions to the public, to the audience, and anything that comes to you, don't hesitate in participating. This is the goal, the aim of these interactions. All right? So we're gonna start with Inés Amado. Inés is a multimedia artist. She's now in Portugal because of COVID, but she's gonna talk directly to you and explain about her work. Thank you, Inés.
Thank you very much, Guadalupe, and thank you everybody for being there, being present. So, participation, collaboration, partaking, inclusivity are things within my work, things that I deal with in one way or another. So I'm starting with a project called Ephemeral Permanence, Creating Connections. In this project, I worked with these four individuals who are part of a community where the project took place. I wanted to make connections. So my first connection was actually to someone who died in 2016. And in his absence, he was present. Andrzej Mrożak was the director of an incredible gallery, which made also connections in turn. He made connections throughout Europe. And he's the person who actually took Joseph Beuys to Poland and brought Joseph Beuys to Europe, to the rest of Europe, out of Germany. So connections, I wanted to connect, as I say, with him, first of all, as a bit of an homage, and then with the inhabitants of this place called Sokołowsko. This took place in situ foundation. So the work started with a little session on deep listening, whereby all of us listened deeply. We listened to the place, we listened to ourselves and to our connection. And I asked each participant, each member of the public who collaborated with me for a story around bread or a memory around bread. They all gave me these stories and they were all in English. And out of that, obviously that was all recorded. And out of that, I made a composition. I worked with this contemporary contemporary musician, and what happened was that I sounded each word that they gave me, because they chose a particular word which was deeply meaningful to them within their stories, and I sounded this word in Polish, whilst the composer would spray vapored tins of vapored water. So the sound was this fusion of words and vapor. I was extremely interested in the ephemerality, the temporality of this performance. In the end, the bread was there as something that grounded the piece, and then this was all ephemeral. And ultimately, I invited every person from the audience to come and share bread. There was a recipient, a small recipient, you can see it under the table, with some olive oil, and so people then came and shared bread, and thus making the piece that more interactive in a very physical sense, but also it was reconnecting people, connecting to what had been done and to the ideas behind that. This is followed by another piece of work, which is called Follow Me. It happened in a space, a specific space, where there was interactive, an interaction between myself and the inmates in a psychiatric hospital in Lisbon. I used their shoes, which they gave me in a very, very generous form. After I worked with them for about 4 weeks, where we exchanged thoughts, ideas. They talked to me about their lives there as inmates in the hospital, in this psychiatric hospital. It was a very deep and amazing experience, and very humbling, very humbling. They towards the end of my stay there, they said to me that they wanted to give me, because I talked about their walking in the hospital. So they said that one of them suggested that he wanted to give me his shoes. And following that, they all gave me, the 6 of them gave me their shoes. I made an installation with video, their steps, and of instances within the hospital, and them talking about their experience, as well as a couple of them singing, whistling throughout the empty corridors. I do not have the video piece because it wouldn't be too long. But that's basically that. This was a very special and very privileged to be there, an incredible experience. So I thank you, and my question is, I would like you obviously to comment on the work that you've just seen, but also I would like you to have this question: how would you interact with one piece or the other? That's my question. And how would you participate? I don't know if I've done my 5 minutes or I've got more time.
No,
I
it's
can.
okay. It's okay. We just need to get the screen back to see the audience. Thank you, Ines. Perfect.
Thank you.
I have a question. I don't have clear what the content of the video is.
Okay, the video is a piece of the 2 inmates singing, whistling. It's one whistling, and the sound that comes through. If I could put it, if I could bring it, I maybe towards the end if I can. But anyway, he's whistling, and it's the sound of the steps. And ultimately, they sit down and they talk about their experience, but not just their experience, their hopes, and towards their future. That's that piece.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Inez, where was that piece shown? Was that in the corridors of the hospital, or was it at a different venue? And also, where was the first? Sorry,
it was in the hospital itself, and as you saw in especially the last slide, you saw that there is a space and then there is a corridor. The 6 pieces were all in bits of the hospital, which was available for me to do that work, because I worked there with the inmates.
And the other piece, was that shown in a gallery context or some kind of public space?
It's a foundation in Poland, in situ foundation. Cool. They've got a massive space and a gallery, and
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hello, I didn't raise my hand, but I would like to thank you because I love both pieces, and it resonates in me because the first piece talk about ephemeral connections, and that's exactly what COVID-19 stole from us. And it also brings to my mind that now currently in Instagram, people are going crazy to do like all the time prepare bread. So it's like, it was like a visionary piece for me, because that ephemeral connection also, I think people are turning to make bread to recover that ephemeral connection. So I really love, and the second piece brings to my mind, there's a museum of the unconscious mind that was created by the psychiatrists from Rio de Janeiro, Nise da Silveira. So I was really like focused on the symbolic part of like the object, like the shoes, and what represent for the patient. So I really like that. It's like you find this poetic language with the participant of the piece, and it's like remind me like the unconscious mind that they have in their day by day. So I really love both of the pieces that you present. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments and feedback. Thank you.
Inez, can you remind us of the question? Because if I remember correct, you're wondering how our interactions would be with the pieces. Is that what you're asking us for?
Yes, maybe I need to give you some more information, but yes, I would like to know what your interaction, your participatory position would be in one or the other, because I mean the psychiatric hospital is a very special size, and obviously was very size audience. They did they did participate in a way, you know, they reacted, and they were asked all sorts of questions. That was their, if you like, their participation. So
Yeah, Jean is raising her hand.
answer what you asked.
The second piece I loved from imagining my interaction would be trying to walk. You said they were in 6 different locations. So placing myself in the shoes and actually going through those halls and walking through the halls and kind of trying to place myself and imagine what it would be like, not just to live there, but to be labeled, you know, whatever, because we all have a little bit of whatever. And then just to be labeled that and to be placed there, and the whole idea of walking through that space and trying to imagine or empathize with what that would feel like. I felt that was very powerful and private and kind of an appropriate way, whereas the other was not. And so those were very interesting, that contrast to me.
Thank you. Well, I must say, I felt that the piece is called Follow Me, and in reality, I did follow them, and I felt deeply. It's quite an emotional piece even today, because yeah, I did follow them. Yeah, and they in turn shared so much. They gave me so much.
Yeah, very powerful.
Thank you.
There is a question in the chat from Maria Paz. Is there an interaction with the owner of the shoes with the installation?
Yes, yes, very much so. They were present throughout. They were present throughout. And in fact, the 2 people in the video, one of them was just amazing because he's been there for 15 years. And he actually says in the video, I've been here for 15 years and I've managed to study, but the studies have come to an end abruptly, in a very abrupt manner. Anyway, he actually, he was present throughout, and he was giving me feedback throughout. And in fact, he even criticized some things, which I thought it was fantastic. He actually said to me, well, Ines, I don't really like that very much, because it was about his own pair of shoes. And he said, you know, oh, because I actually didn't mention something. I was in a bit of a hurry to be on time. The shoes were cemented. They were not casted, they were cemented. And they were cemented because I wanted the residue of their lives, their memories, their tears, their sweat to be present. And they were present in those shoes. And they were grounded, and that was, in a way, a bit conflicting. And that's exactly what he said to me. He said, but you cemented them. And then I said, yes, because now they are the container. Now they are the container for the future. They are the container here. It's an open container. They still retain your traces, your memories, your stories, but they are an open container for other people to engage with. It wasn't extremely assured by that, but anyway, so that's yeah.
I think you can later send the video through the email so everybody can watch it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Any further comment, or we go to the second artist? Okay, we can just wrap it up at the end. So we're going to see LULU Lulu's work. She's a multidisciplinary visual artist based in New York City, who was born and raised in Taiwan. She usually works installation, and recently she's interested in participatory project and meditation. Thank you, Lulu.
Hi, I'm Lulu. I'm going to briefly talk about two of my recent projects. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So earlier this year, I visited my family in Taiwan and came back to New York in end of January. It was the beginning of a pandemic. And as the coronavirus outbreak was getting worse, a lot of graphic image was emerged everywhere on internet and showing the statistic of the confirmed case and the infection rate and also the deaths. I find those images was very overwhelming, especially those geographical ones with the proportional red dots that indicates the confirmed cases. So while seeing the red dots of the confirmed cases grow in the visual map, I have been checking in with family and friends around the world. Unfortunately, they were all rather healthy. And then I wanted to do something like, kind of like fight the burden and the worries brought by the pandemic. I think other than like finding medicine, love and hope is the antidote for us to battle against all the negativities. Since I find the coronavirus map traumatizing, it was just really natural to create a map of the world that I want to see and remember. So I wanted to create a map that is very easily visually understood. So I used this like really popular typical heart shape like icon in the map that I'm making. So by creating this map, I visualized the connection with the people that I love and care around the world. And it is comforting and reassuring to see the dots on the map that represent my loved ones. It is like, even though we are not physically together, but we are on the same map and in the same world. So this is the like the video, like the GIF file of the different layers of the map. So when linked to the actual map, so after I created my map, I started to invite like people that I pinged on the map to participate in this project. So each layer right now, they represent a person who participates. Like say this is all the map, and then each person, it's a different layer. So together, they just, those red dots, they accumulate, and then to create a very empowering visual image. And it was motivated by the pandemic, but I will continue to work on it. At first, I collected the information from all the participants from the online form. But later, I find it quite like alienating because my interaction with each participant was only the initial invitation. So I put the project on pause for a while, and now I started again. But the difference is I will meet each participant virtually or in person to get the information and to talk more about their loved ones and to see how the project will just eventually develop. And this is the first project. And the second one is it's an experimental like workshop that I did last summer. And so in contrast of like going to attending a workshop and then having the artists presented there, instead, when the visitor go to the space and they are greeted with this note posted down on the wall, So instead of me starting as an artist starting the workshop, it was the visitor's choice to initiate the workshop, the interaction. I was thinking about like the digital connection have been a large part of our modern life right now, and how we communicate with each other even before the pandemic. And oftentimes that I find that I know someone in the digital space, but I don't know them like that well in person. For the workshop, so I want to test this like idea of like how we can like use digital connection to initiate something, but later maybe something will evolve to like a different relationship or connection. And so once the visitor, they initiate this like texting conversation, and then I will ask them a set of questions about when, what, and where. And why it is like this question is actually because of this like small like little object of this fortune teller. The Mandarin Chinese name of the fortune teller is east, south, west, north. And also when we play this game, it's always like we choose a number and then we choose a corner and later we get an instruction. So this object for me indicates like the direction and also destination. So while we starting to chat, like through the text message, I post the question, and then we are chatting, and but I was also somewhere else and doing the drawing. This is like just a photo of me sitting in a cafe, and I also like doing the drawing, holding the fortune teller. So at the end of our text conversation, we just we met in person in a place, and I gave them the fortune teller, and I just show them like what was I drawn on the paper. So each section there's a little drawing that documents our conversation, and they are in relation to each other depending on like what we chat about. And eventually, this like piece of paper, they become some kind of like a coded map that only the participant and I would know what it actually meant. So those are just, so one is like this, is actually I use the Google map to see where the participant is, and then it translates to become a drawing and to, and this is the final presentation of how like this project, because I don't have those fortune teller anymore. So I just, I put up this like presentation as a grid and as a three-dimensional thing, then to show like this folded idea and also like different sections of different things. Okay, they are my two projects. My question to you is, and yes, I do want to have any feedback that you have, because I am quite new to do this participatory project. I think it's just aligned with my recent experience. Then I want to be more engaged and thinking about how art can bring to people and to bring to their life and to make them think and all that. So my question is like, have you ever actively participate in any art project, and what was your experience? And also for my project, and say for the mapping project, what would make you want to participate? And if you were to participate, what do you want to experience? And like any suggestion, like can make it more engaging or what? And okay, that's it.
Thank you, Lulu. Let's hear from the audience.
Lulu, I have a question. It's Kara. What is the end goal for the map? Will it become more interactive in some way, or will it just remain like a video of these points in space?
So I want it to be more interactive, but I think this is some technical part of like how to I guess it first is a technical part, and the other is like my relationship with the participant. So say they can submit the data and then eventually just, oh, you have your map. But then that's the part that I find it kind of alienating, because they're just facing an online form and then they give like your data and then it becomes your map. So I want to create experiences like together we create a positive visual image. Because I mentioned I find like this a coronavirus map is like super traumatizing. It's just like seeing the dots everywhere covering the entire world map. That's not something I want to remember. I want to bring forth something something positive and something hopeful for people to remember. So to answer another like say, I wouldn't say it's like the end of the project, but then I would say my goal for this project is I want to put out a positive image for people to like, when you see the world map, you just don't directly think about, oh my God, this is like past year and there are so many tragedy. And then, because honestly for me right now, the way I see world map right now, it's really just coronavirus case. And I don't want to remember this. So this project is my way to counter it. And I want to share this with people. Oh yeah, that's it. I hope I answered your question.
No, I was just curious because, you know, if it stays as a GIF or it stays as I understand the iconic exchange of symbols, right? From the world map that we're accustomed to with the coronavirus to this new, more positive version that you're presenting. But those are both relatively static.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how, I don't have the answer to this obviously, but I'm wondering if you've considered how to kind of move the project past that initial stage so that, you know, is there a website, for example, where some of these interactions are recorded or where people can see some of the more intimate exchange back and forth between you and the participants? Like, is there a way to kind of give us more than just this surface view of the map, which also has a tendency to alienate and to flatten the way that we think about the world, right? So that's where my question was going.
Mm-hmm. Can I share my screen again? I want to show you something. So thank you for the feedback. And I think that's really, it's like saying about the direction I want to go. I want to have more layers. So it's like more engaging. So when people goes to the map, it's not a flattened map and kind of like not intimate enough. So far what I can do is actually when you go to the map and you click on the map and it shows you the city, and then, but then this is also like somewhat similar to the coronavirus map. So for the next that I do want to put like more information like in the map. Mm-hmm. So people can just like go to the map and you click on that, and then you will have more, if you want to read like the kind of like stories. Yeah. So I'm thinking and developing, but I do somehow I kind of like I am also thinking like how can it be more visually intriguing? Like I get bored easily, so I maybe just like the digital time, the Instagram, whatever. It's just like I feel if the image itself is not grabbing the attention at the very first impression, and then somehow just like I just lost it. Mm-hmm. So I also just like think into a direction like yeah, how to make it more engaging, both the content and also the visual.
Hi, Lulu. I really like both works, and what got my attention is that you used the images in a way that is very public or everyday images, but in the other hand, you're talking about this intimacy between the artist and the viewer, which I think is almost like a missing link. I worked in art fairs for years, and there was this idea that if the artist is there, the collector may not be at ease, and nor the artists too, because the way people are looking or reacting to the artwork may be odd too. So I love the fact that this project you showed us bring this intimacy that only you and the viewer, which can be ultimately the collector of an artwork, have access to a certain code you're building together. And it comes from this space, the virtual space that is so impersonal and starts relationships that we are not quite sure how close we are or how much we know people. And you are able to bring this intimacy to this scenario. So I really like the polarity of these two ideas together.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to talk about the relation between this reading of Deleuze and Guattari about the Thousand of Plateaus book, that is not really the same reality, but is a representation of it. And I think that your maps and there are like some representation of these interactors and produce a new cartography in this new map, and this aspect of the new inhabited spaces and the relationship between you and this new person or habitants in the new map, no? And this seems like a new cultural productions and describe these new possibilities and new directions of the territory, and generates different dimensions of communication, and like I don't know if Cara says, like a new different social process between these new dialogues between. And the second project remembers me this game that I play when I was a child, and always generates a new directions, random patterns, and this new map that you imagine and give to these new connections. And it's really, really interesting, your job, and remembers me Deleuze and Guattari about the new cartographies.
Thank you.
Do I have a question? You're saying that this participatory direction was motivated by the COVID, right? And that before in your practice, you really didn't have so much of a participatory inclination. Is that correct?
I think this mapping project is particularly, I think it was started from this summer, the project that I introduced. And then I think that through my art practice, I started to think more about what about the audience and why I do art. So that's the texting workshop was kind of just very experimental, that I want to engage people in a different way and in a more like deeper and intimate. And then somehow the pandemic just hit. And then yeah, and I guess I just made me think more about connection, and then how to bring people to create something together, because I don't like, basically I get material from others, and then I make something else. And then this is my current interest right now. And yeah.
No, I was just curious about the connection because I think that's very important. Because, you know, that you qualify your work as more participatory now than before.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in a way it was probably always participatory, but.
And I think I'm also thinking about ownership.
Right.
Like as an artist, that yes, I'm the creator of the two projects. But then I would say I'm not the sole owner of the project because actually it takes two to create a, like say for the drawing, it takes two because we need to have the conversation, and then yes, I was the person turning them to become drawing, but then like I need the other. And also like this connection of like I think it's like my way of experiment also my way of learning to have established a connection with the other person. I'm not sure where I'm going, but then I think I'm starting to talk randomly, but yes, that's it.
Thank you, Lulu. Let's get to the third participant before we run out of time. Okay, Isabella, a last one.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for noticing my.
I mean, I'm not in a rush, but I want to respect the time frame, and we can chat forever, but let you go.
Okay, I will be very quick. I just wanted to say something about Lulu's work that I know very well, and I saw the generation of this work, the creation, and I don't know why, Lulu, you say you think it's not enough intimate, because basically all the maps are not very intimate. We have an idea of maps which is made by borders, countries, nations, but not actually by people. So maybe you can add some stories from the people, so that the viewer, I can add not only dots or hearts, but also stories, and that would be much more intimate. So I can read the world in a different way. So sorry to take your time. I try to be as more quick as possible.
I'm sorry, I raised my hands from the beginning. Can I say something?
Sure. I mean, if you stay for the third one, that's perfect.
Yeah. It's because I participate in the project of LULU, so I can give my perspective of how I was participate in the map. For me, I take really seriously who were my loved ones. So for me, it was like realize what was my network of care. So I think that after Lulu asked me to participate, I contact all the people that I put in the map. So it brings me to my mind like, yeah, so if they are my loved ones, I need to know how they are, if they are in Spain, if they are in Brazil. So I think after participate with Lulu, it kind of made me realize that if these people that I put in the map are my loved ones, I need to like contact them and realize how they are. So for me, it was really like open my mind, who is my true network of care. So thank you, Lulu, because if you didn't invite me, I would not contact most of the people. So yeah, that's
Thank you. We can wrap up at the end. Okay, so the third participant is Dani Tapia, and she's also going to present her curator. She's a cultural practitioner and creator of Art Scene 365, which is also a project focused on making the audience participant. So Dani, please go on. Just unmute yourself, please. Danny, you're muted.
Yeah, now I got it. Thank you. Let me go to the beginning. It's just that okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, Danny.
Yes? Okay. Okay, I'll be brief. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Guadalupe and the ANT project for the invitation, and to Residents Unlimited for hosting us today. I'm very honored and humbled to be among so many artists and curators and people interested in art. When Guadalupe asked me for a line to identify myself, how to identify myself, I still struggle with it because I'm not an artist, I'm not really a curator. And then the best way for me to define myself is as an aspiring cultural practitioner. So basically, about 3 years ago, I decided that I wanted to explore the art environment in Miami, the art scene. And I really didn't, more beyond being an spectator, I really wasn't an active part of it. My background, my professional background is in computer science. So I was just an art lover that decided to kind of do a deep dive into what was going on. And I started to document what I found. That was my intention. So I started with just like an Instagram account, and the name was Art Scene 365, because my parameters, or what I wanted to do, was to show what I was seeing. So I never published anything that I haven't personally seen. And I wanted to do it every day as a practice for my discipline, to see like every day I'm gonna comment or go see something or promote something that is happening. But this, of course, has evolved during this time. And now, I found that there was some needs within the community, and then that kind of have given me guidance. So what started with just me posting some photos of art or things that I saw has evolved into me being a little bit of a documentarian or an archivist, and somebody who is basically a cheerleader for the community, for the art community. This is what as I see myself. So in this platform, this project that has become a platform in social media, on my website, and that basically has led me to connect with the community, with the artistic community. The content that I feature is the following: a daily art agenda where I try to post everything that I know. I don't claim to have everything, but everything that I know of that's happening, I share with the community on a daily basis. So if people, sometimes people let me know, sometimes I just find the information, and also I have made a discipline of looking for the information and sharing. Original photos and reviews of what I see in Miami. My concentration is in Miami and South Florida, but of course when I travel, or I always try to promote arts and artists wherever I go. I do artist studio visits, of course, to get to know the work of the artist much better. Also, I've been doing interviews with artists, curators, and art professionals. Social media coverage of live events for the institutions in Miami, trying to get people to participate, to be enthusiastic about, making sure that people know that things are happening, and then showing to people what the event is like, right? Trying to make them to want to come and participate either for that event or the next. And some content that I'm very proud about is that during the last 2 years, for the entire month of March, I have featured only women artists on a daily basis. So this is, again, remember that this is art that I have actually seen. So I'm not reposting content from other people or things that I find on the internet. This is art that I have actually seen in person, and artists that I have interacted with. So that's great. this is how the what would you see if you go to Instagram, and on this side is the agenda. This is more or less what it looks like. It's an Instagram format where you can actually click on the names of the institutions or the people that are participating, so that my idea is that you have a kind of a reminder and you can go deep, dig deeper and see what's happening. And this is posted daily on the stories, but you can also find it here where it says art agenda, so that you don't have to go through all the stories. You can just go straight there. Another part of the practice within the video has been what I call video documentation of artist interviews, also some curators, where I basically give the artists an opportunity to talk about their work. An exhibition, these are short, maybe 5 minutes long or so, but it's a way for the artists to have more documentation about the work and also to communicate directly with the audience. And I have another couple of projects that for me are like pilot projects that I want to develop further or look funds for it. One is called Art Scene with Friends. It's a play on the name of on the project, and the idea is to invite someone that's not necessarily part of the art world, but that has an audience as well. And then I will invite this person to go to an exhibition or to do an artist's studio visit, or just as a way of introducing this friend of mine to this artist, and then at the same time allow this person to introduce it to his audience. So for example, I invited this photo here is for a video. It's probably 4 minutes long or so, with a writer. My friend is a writer, and we went to, he happens to live in Colombia, and there was an exhibition at PAN of an artist, Colombian artist, and I thought that it was a good way for making people that follows him more interested in this, in the exhibition, for example. And I'll go to the next. The other project that I have within Art Scene is something that came out of this quarantine and pandemic, and it's called Local Elsewhere. So basically in here, I want to interview people that are not local to Miami or South Florida, but from other latitudes, and have a conversation and try to find what's common and what's different, just as an exchange for what works, what doesn't work. And hopefully that will allow for, new ideas to come for people who's listening, right? Like try to understand how things, what does it mean to be local in Bogota or in Madrid or in Washington, DC, and then how that local art scene is different from what we are experiencing in South Florida. And that basically, that's it for now. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Okay, comments.
Just wondering if Dani had a question that she'd like us all to think about and address.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Jen. I was, trying to. There was a great question that came out of the Guadalupe's suggestion, which is asking people if you actually rely on digital media for learning or being up to date with what's happening in the art scene in general, or where you are. And I'm gonna combine that with a question that I have, which is, I try to make this very personal. So it's me, Art Scene 365 is my curatorial approach. It's what I'm showing what I like, and I'm sharing what I know. But I'm getting to that point where I sometimes find that to be really useful for the community, probably I would need a little more of an infrastructure, or more probably allow more people to write or to contribute to the agenda. And I am a little afraid that that would, that I don't want to be a publication. Like, I don't follow any social media things that are not, that I don't find that there's a person behind it. I don't want to just be graphics and things. You know, it for me is very a very personal connection with the people who follow me, the people who write and ask questions or comment. So I mean, at that age where that little edge between making it a better, more serious, I don't know serious because I am pretty serious about it, but more robust project, and continue to have this feeling of being personal. So that's it. Thank you, Jen.
Okay, I want to just comment. I love the project of Local Elsewhere, and it talks. I mean, it talks to many of us that during the pandemic, the local has become the common ground for everybody all over the world. So it's very interesting to me that you are, you know, showing it this way, Local Elsewhere, and share how what local is in different places. I had the chance to listen to the interview with the, I don't remember his name, from the Museo del Prado in Spain, and it was really like being there. So yeah, I think this is a great project, Dani.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you found it useful.
I really love the when you invite a friend and that's outside of the arts. I think that's fabulous, because to me, one of the things, it can get so ingrown. And I think the more that art and other activities can interact, the richer it is for everybody and everything. And so I just think that's kind of really exciting. A really exciting project that I haven't seen and that I think is really important, like a multidisciplinary thing, but not multidiscipline in art, multidiscipline in everything with, you know, people in science and writers and all. I think that's really great.
Thank you.
Lulu?
So as an artist, I feel your project gives me a lot of hope, because you're not an artist, but you are so enthusiastic and passionate about art, and your commitment is like amazing. Like just going to see so many shows and posting them, that the amount of effort that you put in, that's just amazing. And also I'm thinking, like, because last time when we talked, like, we have a pre-meeting. So in our pre-meeting, we talked, like you said about the challenging that you're facing, and you want to keep it intimate for you because it is your project. But meanwhile, you want to have the diversity and all that. But I don't have a solution or answer for you. But then I find what's really wonderful for me is like this authenticity. This is like come from you, and then you are not speaking for any institution. You are not represent some kind of like authority of okay, this is the artist you look at. This is like the big artist, big name artist right now. And that for me is like very intimate and very friendly, because it's not from kind of like this very kind of like top to down, kind of like this way of like introducing art to you and then making the distance even greater. But I feel like the gap is like closing off by the way that you do, because you are the person going to see the show, and I'm just sharing what I see with you, and that's just very close.
Thank you. I have to say that it's for me very, I had to find a way to give back, to do something, because at some point I was feeling like a glutton. You know, I enjoy so much watching art and looking at art, but you know, what am I doing? You know, everybody, the artist is putting herself or himself out there, and I'm doing something, producing something, and then I didn't just want to be a consumer, consuming everything that's out there. So the project has allowed me to do something to support the community, and then that makes me feel great, and it's, yeah, it's amazing. So it's amazing for me in the sense of the community, being part of the community, being able to be like I am here today. So.
Yes, I think the accessibility and the inclusivity are things that that I love, and that I love within your project. Because for me that is also very, very important. And I actually think, interestingly enough, our project also have this in common, because LULU's definitely there is that inclusivity and that accessibility, which I think it kind of runs right through each one. But in relation to yours, Danny, I think that it's really, really important what you've started and what you're doing. And I think that for me, I think I would like it enlarged in terms of precisely enlarging that accessibility. In other words, I think that you know, you're using a particular platform, which is fine, which is great, but I think maybe maybe utilizing, I don't know what, but other platforms. That was my kind of response in a way, because that you know, I mean, Instagram is so easily accessible, and it's for some people anyway. But I think that actually it could be enlarged. In my mind, I could see it enlarged in its scope, because it is a wonderful thing, you know, as I said, that inclusivity, that accessibility, and that exposure of people. I think it's incredible, and you know, you're doing an amazing social, apart from intellectual and cultural service. You know, you are bringing all these aspects into one. So yeah, my thoughts are still, you know, could it be enlarged? Could it be more? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm still kind of thinking of it anyway, but great. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Judith?
Yeah, I would like to respond directly to Ines' comment. And I'm wondering if your idea or feeling that the medium that transports these art observations should be larger. Maybe the reason for that is that you think the art is too big to fit into this small medium Instagram. And I wonder if a solution could be quite the opposite. And maybe a solution could be to say, don't move your practice to a larger medium, maybe shrink the art. So maybe it could be also really honoring the fact that what you're showing is not replacing the visit in the show, but it's just a tiny taste of it. maybe it could be solved by saying, I'm showing one detail, or I'm only like making super clear, I'm showing only this one sense that I got, or this one encounter of the show, so that you don't imply this is the show visit, or this replaces an actual physical encounter. This is like my daily little detail that I want to share. So maybe that would, I'm wondering if that's what you meant, Ines, and I'm also wondering if something like this would be more congruent to the medium that you're using.
Yeah, I never, I mean, my whole point is to encourage people to go see art, to go, you know, it's never, oh, now I'm showing this so that you don't have to leave home and you can feel like you saw the show. In general, my posts are an invitation to go see exactly as you said, what that little taste I gave you, right? So, but yeah, sometimes since I do the photographs and there are many things that go into place, and if I don't feel like the photograph that I'm taking can describe the work in a fair manner, that, you know, would be a disservice, I won't post it, for example, because there are works that you really have to see in person, and you don't want to get a photograph that it won't honor the work. And many times I consult with the artist, hey, you like this photo, or if I photograph the artist with the work, so that this is a service and not a disservice to the experience. Thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that what I said maybe was a little bit misread. To have it large, what I meant was to have that accessibility enlarged. And why? Because actually, for me, I feel that especially today, it's extremely important. It's always been important, but art has been this elitist thing that's only accessible to a few privileged people. And to an extent, it's still so. You know, the big collectors are collecting particular artists, and they continue to collect particular artists. Whilst I see your, and that's just as an example, I mean, I could go on and on. I see your platform, your project as something that counterposes that. And for me, I think that is a really wonderful thing. And yes, I agree with you in terms, sorry, I can't remember your name, Judith. I agree with you, Judith, in terms of, yes, sometimes a glimpse of something, sometimes a portion, a fragment of something can, you know, give you so much rather than the whole picture or whatever. Because it gives you a point of entry, which I think can be extremely important. But my thing of the enlarging bit was from a different angle, anyway.
I wonder if you meant like reaching more people, because in social media you depend on the number of followers. So, and that's something.
Exactly. That's why I said other platforms, other ways of.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, but also I have never, I mean, done promotions, or which is something that I thought that I'm going to do, but I wanted to be organic and to be a real network of people that are interested in art. I don't care about having 10,000 followers of people who really, I mean, I want to reach more people, but at the same time, you know, there are ways, right? People sell followers on Instagram and stuff, but you know, what's the point?
No, it wouldn't be about that. It wouldn't be about reaching the whole world and becoming a goddess. Yeah, it's not about that. But anyway.
Yeah. So we're past the hour, and I'm very happy here. I mean, there are some people who wanted to wrap up a few comments, and we'll give them just a few minutes for the people who wanted to make any additional comment, and then just a wrap up of the workshop before people start just leaving, you know. So,
I would like to make a comment.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, this kind of, it's a comment for Lulu, but it has to do with Dani's project to some extent too. But I feel like, Lulu, your project is really about, both your projects in a way are about like talking back to big tech. And I think I'm really oriented this way because I was just watching the documentary last night, which is called The Social Dilemma. But anyway, I mean, you know, we have this crisis around technology and algorithms and, you know, basically the unraveling of our sense of reality, democracy, et cetera. It's like so complex, and the unraveling of social interaction. And it seems to me that like your works are really like trying to devise a way to take technology back as a tool, as opposed to something where it's like you look at a screen and you have no idea, like the screen is connected to this massive network of algorithm, AI, marketing might like we've never known before in the history of the world. And yet we have no idea what's going on back there, and we can't know because it's proprietary algorithms basically. And like with both the map and the cootie catchers, you're kind of trying to reorient that and be like, okay, well, that map that was shown to me by New York Times or whatever it was that was, you know, Google, I'm going to create my own map. And then the interaction with the paper cootie catchers is like, also kind of like, how do I create my own map and use my own tool, which is also in conversation with somebody else. Anyway, I just think it's like really political right now in this very smart way, and political without like on a really broad level, without being like topical about, you know, one politician. It's not issue based, but it is issue based in the sense of like, how do we form our reality, our sense of the world, our sense of who we're talking to. So I wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you. Judith?
Yeah, completely in line with your comment. I absolutely agree, and I think these like fortune tellers, they also provide a physical equivalent, kind of they steal from this unknown cloud, like they steal information away from their cloud and make it into a piece, and also into a piece that's one of a kind. And I think it's taking it one step further in generosity, but also in like real world experience, that you are giving this one single piece away as a gift. So there are not 1,000 copies that exist, it's only one. And what I also think is it's kind of it's mirroring our tech or virtual experience, that basically all the notions you get on a very subjective level through a text conversation goes through your body or through your brain and physicality and physical ability and becomes something that actually exists in the physical world. So it's not a technical algorithm, it's you as a person who filters whatever comes in your mind and gives it another output. And I was wondering, as you said, you never met the person before, and then you text message, and then you meet each other and you hand over this result. I was wondering if there could be a messenger, so that if your conversation goes into this paper thing and is delivered by somebody else, so you never meet each other. And this paper thing is basically you as a person distilled into your art and replaces you. And yeah, it's just a question I had, and I was wondering if that would add another layer.
Do I answer, or?
If you want, just very briefly.
I was actually thinking about, like, because I did a project when I was in New York, and so I wasn't too far from the participants, so we can meet. But then there was a time, like, I was thinking, what if, like, these projects I presented in a different state, different country, and then we still chat through this digital space, but somehow this final folder thing will still be delivered to them. But I didn't proceed because I don't know how it would feel for me, honestly. And because I'm doing this project that I kind of, it's also my personal eager to seek personal interaction. So at the end, to meet each other is kind of my fight against of oh, it's digital, and then eventually we need to meet, because that's the true real connection that I see. So, but if there's a possibility, I would love to try, and I want to know how that I would feel, and also the participant would feel. Yeah.
Thank you, Lulu. I thought about that. I mean, in your fortune teller, what if you do it with people in another country? But yeah, it's all possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
no. Just wondering if there's just one more comment, one or two, to just wrap it up. And no?
I have a quick thing to say to Dani too, which was your local project, the 365 local. I mean, right now it's like that we can't travel around as much, so it seems like an incredible, it made me think of, like, it's a travel show almost, like, where you go around and you're like, or you don't go around, but you have a conversation with somebody and you're like, what is it like to be in Madrid? What is it like to be in a hyper local location? And the art world is so quote unquote international, and, like, you know, art as commerce is like pieces flying around the world, going to art fairs, whatever, as if there's just an art world that exists and then it's devoid from the actual, like, place where it was made, or the, you know, cultural context. And anyway, I just think that that is such a cool concept, because of course art is local, just like everything is local, and also everything is interconnected, but there's that aspect. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback. Encouraging.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you, all the participants. This is exactly what the ANT project is for, to have these direct interactions, direct interconnections, and enrich each other through the art projects of the participants. And to me, the beauty of receiving non-biased comments from people who doesn't want anything from you gives you the spontaneity and the richness that we all are needing so much, you know, always. But in this moment, we really need to receive nurture from people who are unbiased and who just from spontaneity bring things to the surface. I really feel that this is how the ants nurture their colonies, because they are like, you know, selfishness or selflessness, working for their own needs, but they are the same, at the same time, they are feeding everybody. So this is just a workshop that shows how we can feed each other from each one interacting unbiasedly to the others. So thank you so much for being part of it. And please just register in the newsletter or send me your emails here. Ines will certainly send the videos so everybody can watch them. And I'll see you in the next workshops. We're gonna have probably, I mean, we want one monthly, so you'll get the invitations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
you, Guadalupe, Lulu, Danny, and everybody that was present. Thank you. That was wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you,
Bye.
Natalie, for hosting the ants, and see you soon.